Hello, this is Mary Kyler Dida, and I'm looking at how to know God's will and what is His will for me, for you, for the world, for the church, for the Jew, for the sinner, for the saint. What is His will? Today I'm looking at one of my favorite verses or scriptures, and it's in Psalm 91, verses 1 through 11, and I'll read it first. He who dwells in the shadow of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you make the Most High your dwelling, even the Lord, who is my refuge, then no harm will befall you, no disaster will come near your tent. So this is really interesting, because it talks about what we do, and if we do this and this and this, then God will do this and this and this. And then it says why God will do this. So let's just take a look. He who dwells in the shadow of the Most High will rest in His shadow, in the shadow of the Almighty. I want to take a look at the descriptors of God. He is called the Most High. He is called Almighty. He is called a refuge and a fortress. He is said to have feathers and wings. And He is said to be faithful. And again, He is called the Most High and a refuge and the Lord. So, Most High, refuge, dwelling. Did I miss that one? Refuge in my fortress. Under His wings, it says, you will find refuge. He covers you with His feathers. Sometimes He is referred to in the Old Testament as the angel of the Lord. So He is our dwelling place. He is my fortress. He is my refuge. He is Most High. He is Almighty. He is faithful. All of these things He is to us. It's who He is. And then what is our response to be to Him? To dwell. Okay. To dwell in Him, it says. To trust in Him. you see, I'm looking at what else it says. That would be my actions towards him, to make him my refuge. If you make the Most High your dwelling. Okay, let's look at that. He's Most High. He is faithful. He covers you with his wings, and under his feathers you find refuge. And we are to make him our dwelling, our refuge. What else? Our dwelling and our refuge. He is our fortress. It really kind of sounds like we are just to dwell in him, to live in him, to trust in him, that he is our refuge, our fortress, a faithful. He's faithful. He's our shield and our rampart. I forgot that from before when I was saying he is the Most High. He's the Almighty. He is our refuge. He is our fortress. He covers us with feathers, and under his wings he is our refuge. He is faithful, and he is our shield and rampart. Sure sounds like God has a lot more responsibility towards us than we have towards him. How hard is it to make him our refuge, to hide under his wings? Sounds like all we have to do is trust him and dwell in him. We dwell in him, and he dwells in us by his Spirit. Later on in the New Testament, someone says, in him I live and move and have my being. This means in whatever ever circumstance excuse me, I encounter, I dwell in him. I turn to him. I hide myself in him. If you think about a dwelling is our home. It's where we live. It's where we are comfortable. It's our nest. Which is kind of fitting, considering he says he covers us with his feathers, and under his wings we find refuge. We have our nest in him. If you think about yourself as a little critter, as a bird, and you go back to your nest, your home, where you dwell. So much of the responsibility lies upon God himself to be this and this and this and this towards us. And then he says, what else will he do? He will save you from the fowler's snare, from deadly pestilence, from the terror of night and the arrow of day, from the pestilence that stalks in darkness and the plague that destroys at midday. He says, 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 near your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you make the Most High your dwelling, you nest yourself in him. He is your refuge, then no harm will befall you, no disaster will come near your tent. So we look at those disasters. Once again, the fowler's snare, the deadly pestilence, the terror of night, the arrow of day, the pestilence in the darkness, the plague that destroys. No disaster will come near your tent. So I'm gonna tell you what I think this is saying. That's my opinion. And if you have other thoughts, I would surely like to hear them or read them. All of these are natural things, right? Except for the arrow and the terror, with the evil. Remember, the Lord tells us to pray, deliver us from evil, deliver us from the evil one. So all of these things that the Lord is telling us will happen. He says, you will observe when these things, trials and disasters happen. It is the punishment of the wicked. And you'll only watch it from the refuge of your dwelling in him, in your nest. Wherever that nest is, remember that wherever you are, he is. Wherever he is, you are. So it can be your physical home, and it cannot. It can be wherever you are. You nest in him. You rest in him. You trust in him. And you will observe with your eyes the punishment that comes upon the others. And you may see 1,000 fall here and 10,000 fall there, but it will not harm you. It will not come near your tent. Sometimes I think that's, he is our tent. God created us to desire a home, to be nesters. All the creatures have a home. The only one who said that I can remember, I'm sure there's more, that said he had no home to lay his head, was Jesus. And his followers who followed him, they left their homes. Our tent, our refuge, our dwelling is in him. And he may dwell with us in our physical home. He will dwell with us. Period. We dwell with him. Sometimes I think when tribulation comes, one thing that we will, martyrdom in the New Testament is a given. They hated me, they'll hate you. Persecute me, they'll persecute you. And if they kill me, they'll probably kill you. That's another story. Another truth. But this truth is about the punishment that God gives to the wicked. When God punishes the wicked, that punishment does not come near us. That is Noah and the ark. That is Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, that's Daniel in the lion's den. And I can't remember who was thrown into the fire. Seems like that was Daniel too. Point being is that when God punishes the wicked, it will not befall you. I often thought about this during COVID. I really wasn't afraid of the plague that destroys at midday or the deadly pestilence that stalks in the darkness. I trust in the Lord, and it's what I endeavor to do. It's his will that we make him our dwelling, that we trust in Him and His faithfulness to us. We rest in Him. We make our tent in Him. We do this by what we think, by what we see, by what we say, by what we put in our heart, and by what we do. Please comment and pray about these things. This good word is for all who will hear, for all who will listen, for all who want to make Him your dwelling. If you're not sure how to do it, doesn't even matter. If you want to do His will, then, and you ask Him, He is faithful to perform His good will in you. He who begins a good work in you will perform it unto the day of our Lord Jesus Christ. So rest in His promises and do everything. Make a conscious effort every day and pray always. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you like.